Next, the Ministerial Session. This session is brought to you by the Ministry of Communications of the Republic of Fiji.
Welcome back from the break, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our first session, the Ministerial Session, Strengthening Media in a Changing World, which is kindly being sponsored by the Republic of Fiji and the Ministry of Communications Fiji. It is because of the generous support of our sponsors that we're able to bring you an event of this magnitude, Vinaka. Now, to introduce our six panelists and to moderate this session, please welcome Mr. Thomas Lamanauskas, a partner of Envision Associates, a public policy, regulatory, and strategy advisory firm. His experience in telecoms and digital policy, regulation, and strategy include positions of member of the board, CEO, and Deputy General Director of National Communications Regulatory Authorities in Europe, the Middle East, and the Caribbean, and Senior Government Advisor on Information and Communication Technologies Policy in the Pacific. He also served as Head of Corporate Strategy, as well as Special Advisor for Crisis Strategy, COVID-19, and Partnership Initiatives for the International Telecommunication Union, and Group Director Public Policy at VEON, a multinational technology and communications company. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Thomas Lamanauskas.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Amalia. Thank you very much for this kind introduction. And I really would like to thank Asia Pacific Institute of Broadcasting Development and, of course, Philomena, who is the force bringing us all together continuously to discuss media in this changing world, despite sometimes very challenging circumstances, and Mr. Mayank Agarwal, President of IBD General Conference. Before we begin this session, if you could ask Their Excellencies Ministers present, and together with Philomena and Mr. Mayank Agarwal, to turn on their cameras for a group photo, as we would do in a real setting. We would like to do that in virtual setting, so that we could all have this memento. So please do that, and our staff will take a picture. So with that, and really thankful very much for the photos and the staff for taking it, I would like to start this session. And indeed, the session is a setting of the scene session, and we already heard some of the very important words about the scene, from Philomena, from Mr. Agarwal, from His Excellency Prime Minister of Fiji, about the situation facing the world, and about media's role in it. And of course, we see different challenges that the world is facing, from the pandemic to geopolitical tensions to even wars. We see the technologies that changing media landscape, and then and the change how we both consume media, or how can media reach us. But we also see still the role of traditional media there, which is changing, but still is very relevant. So today we have a great lineup of ministers who will help us explore those both opportunities and challenges, and explain what is happening specifically in their respective countries in that regard. And we'll start with our sponsor and the host. His Excellency Ayaz Said Hayum, so Attorney General and Minister of Communications, Ministry of Communications, Republic of Fiji. So Honorable Ayaz Said Hayum is Fiji's Attorney General and Minister for Economy, Civil Service, Communications, Housing and Community Development. He also serves as the Minister responsible for climate change. And he has on his record a number of great achievements in this industry. So as the Minister for Communications, Mr. Said Hayyoum has overseen a massive expansion in access for mobile services, extending coverage to 95% of the country. And also Fiji has also experienced a boom in access to high-speed internet services and free-to-air digital television, which is now available all throughout the geographically remote nation. Chief among the Attorney General's reforms of the communications sector is also establishment of the community telecenters, an initiative that has already exceeded expectations, providing free internet access to more than 800,000 Fijians, including 8,000 school children. So, Your Honorable Minister, so we already heard from Honorable Prime Minister of the Republic of Fiji about the changing media landscape and how that impacts also Fiji environment, but also much broader environment. But we'd like you to help us to look deeper, specifically how the media landscape is changing in Fiji, and how Fiji, with the specific features, in a very dispersed, country with 300 islands, 100 of them inhabited, is both making sure that information keeps reaching its people and keeps reaching its people in a reliable form. So, and the risks of that is also tackled. So, Your Excellency, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, and thank you very much for the invitation to speak. And I'd like to, of course, forward all salutations to the honourable ministers who are present with us, and also the other esteemed ambassadors, the president of AIBD, of course, and the other delegates from the various media organizations. And I like to keep it very formal as opposed to sort of making a very formal statement. And you're absolutely right. I mean, we have over 300 islands, 110 of which are habited. And it is a challenge, although about 65% of the population lives on the one island, which is on Viti level. But I think fundamentally, sort of taking it back a few years, the manner in which, for example, frequencies were allocated was very haphazard. And we worked with a number of, entities, partners like ITU and others to ensure that there was an essence and understanding that, frequencies actually limited real estate, that we need to have the maximum usage of it. And of course, we had, various what we call exclusivities in the telecommunications sector. We had Vodafone that had exclusivity as far as mobile phones were concerned. We had the Telecom Fiji, which had exclusivity. We had Fintel, which in partner with Cable and Wireless, had exclusivity. So we worked with various organizations, including the World Bank. We managed to then remove those exclusivities, have an open market approach to it. Of course, one of the challenges, and many small island states will tell you this, is that because you don't necessarily have the economies of scale to attract large companies, you have a limited choice of companies to choose from as far as mobile telephones are concerned. Apart from opening up the market, which was Digicel, for example, came into that space, and as you know, that Digicel is currently being in the process of being acquired by Telstra from Australia. But that allowed us to be able to, for want of a better word, democratize, mobile telephony in Fiji. So today we have over 600,000 smartphones. We have more SIM cards in operation than actual number of people. The total population about 890,000 people. Of course, people now have 2 SIM cards. They have a choice of 2 mobile phone companies. And we have over 600,000 individual Facebook accounts, authentic Facebook accounts, I should say. So a number of changes have taken place. And we have, of course, in the meantime, started what we call the Walisi platform. The Walisi platform actually is a 100% government-owned entity with the view of ensuring that free-to-air television is given a lot of latitude in terms of providing its services without necessarily having all the upfront costs. As you quite correctly highlighted, that because Fiji has strewn across about 110 islands, we need to, the cost of actually transmitting to these islands is exorbitant. And of course, it does not necessarily make sense to invest, for example, in $1 million tower. And when you have only 50 people, they'll get covered by this $1 million tower. So from commercial sense, we dictate that you don't do that. But we have, of course, universal service funds that we take a small percentage out of mobile telephone companies. That, of course, helps in infrastructure sharing. But for television, there is no such mechanism. So WILESI, of course, now provides a mechanism where you have a platform, the infrastructure costs are met by WILESI, and then all the free-to-air television stations are able to, broadcast through the WILESI platform. We have just recently brought about digital television in the main sort of centers in Fiji, and with Ilevu very soon we hope to have entirely go digital on TV. There are numerous challenges in a small market like this, and I'm sure there are other large markets also have a challenge in terms of advertising revenue, in particular for the free-to-air television, because they now have to compete with social media, they have to compete with Facebook, they have to compete with people who are actually now advertising or find better traction on advertising on Facebook and other social media platforms. So there is a revenue implication. Similarly, one can argue with radio too. The WILESI platform again will be offering services on the FM frequency. AM frequency, as as many of you would know, travels better over water, and when you have far-flung islands, radio is very important in terms of communication. We are very grateful to the Japanese government that partnered with the Fiji Broadcasting Corporation, invested, I think, close to about $12 to $14 million in upgrading the AM frequency capacity. So we are able to get that frequency and that AM stations through FBC to the far-flung reaches of Fiji. It is critically important also, as you know, that a country like Fiji is most vulnerable to climate change. We've had 14 cyclones since 2016. And therefore, getting the messaging out, warning people, and also with the WILESI platform, we eventually hope to be able to get feedback information through the TV screens that are being set up. So AM is critically important. The WILESI platform is critically important. We have also, in respect of communications, for example, set up what we call telecenters, predominantly through schools, where a lot of remote schools, we provide them with PCs, we provide them with, in some cases, laptops, we provide them with, webcams, etc. Free of charge. We actually pay for the telecommunications cost, the internet costs, on the condition, of course, the students use it during the day. And then in the evening and the afternoons, members living in that community around the school can actually come and access those facilities. So we have, that being set up. We recently also had what we call the Connecting the Unconnected, which means there are a lot of schools, for example, do not have access to internet at all. We've identified a number of places. So what we do go there is, through satellite, we give them internet connectivity, we give them PCs, and also then we give sometimes IP phones. And if there's a village or a community living nearby the school, we then Wi-Fi the school compound area. So members of the public can actually come to the schoolyard and connect themselves. This, of course, is a quick solution whilst we set up more towers through the universal service funds that we've got. So quite a lot of work actually has been done in this respect. Of course, we need to continue to do that. And I think there's a number of challenges, as we have seen overall, talking about media, through the advent of Facebook. Of course, we've seen a lot of misinformation that is spread through, for example, Facebook in Fiji. We also have set up in the meantime an online safety commission. We saw a number of sort of abuse taking place online. Essentially, what we call sort of revenge videos being put out by jilted lovers, etc., or also in terms of targeting children. So we've got a mechanism through which complaints can be lodged. A lot of times we find that families with disputes may put up videos of each other and how we can actually ensure that that does not happen. So all in all, I mean, I think there will be a sort of very quick snapshot in respect of what we have done, what we are doing. We also, we invest in quite a lot of funds, as I said, through the Walisi platform. We recently partnered. The Samoans recently laid a cable from Samoa to connect to the Southern Cross cable, which lands in Suva, in our capital city. So they brought the cable between two of the major islands, and so we were able to build a pipe off that, and to get submarine cable landing in the second largest island, Vanuatu, which means that there's a lot of connectivity opportunities, a lot more stable, and we have seen recently a lot of appetite by the BPO sector to set up in Fiji. So that also helps in the diversifying our economy. We just about 2 weeks ago speaking to another company where they want to come and set up shop. They're looking at about 3,000 jobs in the next 2 years. So all of that is happening also. We've had to deal with, we've recently signed up to the Budapest Convention in terms of cybersecurity and various standards to obviously give people confidence, and of course our commitment to cybersecurity. And those are some of the challenges and issues that we have to endure. And I think that it's critically important to ensure that we have that level of collaboration and partnership, not just within the Pacific itself, but also with our other member countries in AIBD. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Your Excellency. Also, as a fellow lawyer, it's always great to hear another lawyer with such an excellent command of technology. So thank you very much for outlining us this lot of infrastructure initiatives that Fiji is taking really to ensure the platform, the infrastructure platform for distribution of content, and overcoming the challenges they're facing, and taking this really thoughtful ways of sharing infrastructure to really lower the costs and bringing the information and content and services to everyone. And also thanks for recognizing and explaining how you deal with the risks related to that, as well as some future business opportunities, including developing the biosector. And finally, thank you very much, Your Excellency, for giving this great opportunity today to at least virtually be in the Pacific, and hopefully next time, similar summit, we'll be able to enjoy nice beaches, not only in my virtual background, but
yeah,
in the real background.
I was going to say, I love the beach that you're at. I wish I was there too.
Exactly. I think you have pretty wonderful beaches, Your Excellency. So I think if we were now physically there, we would be able to find similar backgrounds in reality. So thanks again a lot. So I think with that we're moving to another country. So we're moving to India, and we'll have a video address from His Excellency Anurag Singh Takur, Minister of Information and Broadcasting and Youth Affairs and Sports of Government of India. So before taking over the current charge, His Excellency served as the Minister of State for Finance and Corporate Affairs in the Government of India. And Mr. Takur has long experience in public life and was elected as fourth time as the Member of Parliament from Hamirpur constituency in Himachal Pradesh, a northern state of India. He has represented India at the Parliamentary Committee on WTO and the Steering Committee. He is also former national president of Bharatiya Janata Yuva Morcha, which is the youth wing of Bharatiya Janata Party, and has been recognized as a young leader by the World Economic Forum, and was made the global champion in the category of public health by Global Fund. So clearly, Minister has a lot of experience, a lot of credentials, not only in India, but globally. And we'll hear from him about the key challenges and opportunities for his country that the changing media landscape is bringing. Please play the video. Thank you.
Dignitaries on the dais, delegates connected virtually from across the world. Namaskar. Hello everyone. I am delighted to speak to you on behalf of my fellow citizens at the 17th Asia Media Summit 2022. At the outset, I would like to extend my gratitude to the Asia Pacific Institute for Broadcasting Development for organizing the summit at a time when the world is still grappling with the challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic. In this backdrop, authentic and timely flow of information becomes very critical. While the world was in the middle of COVID-19 pandemic, unverified claims and fake content circulating in the media had created an atmosphere of extreme fear amongst the people. In India, we fought regularly against this menace of misinformation. The Indian government led from the front with its media arm, Press Information Bureau, forming a fact-check unit which burst fake news on real-time basis. Our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, as always, took the center stage in the fight against COVID. The Indian media ensured that the COVID awareness messages, important government guidelines, and free consultations with doctors reach everyone in the country. This was driven by India's public service broadcaster Doordarshan and All India Radio, as they were very significantly delivered on their mandate of public service and stood strong with the people during the testing times of the pandemic. They set the trend through prompt coverage and ground reports and organizing programs on public health. Vaccinating a huge population of more than 1.3 billion people was indeed challenging. But because of the combined effort of the government, COVID warriors, civil society, India has successfully vaccinated majority chunk of her population. The cumulative COVID-19 vaccination coverage in India has exceeded 1.9 billion, which is huge success and speaks of the government concerns for its people. In this endeavor, the Indian media played a very important role in educating the people about the benefit of being vaccinated against coronavirus. We faced many roadblocks. One of the foremost challenges was vaccine hesitancy. That was broken by media through right messages and education. Our Prime Minister Modi addressed the citizens through All India radio programs or through the TV channels to reach out and give a very clear message about the vaccine. If you talk about this year's theme of the Asia Media Summit, it highlights the future of media and how we can reimagine the media to provide first-hand authentic information. Media today is highly technological driven and is witnessing a rapid pace of innovation. Growth of internet through affordable mobile devices has reignited the media industry. Literally, anyone who owns a mobile handset is the media creator today. The transition to 5G technology will further enhance the user experience with increase in the speed of delivery and improvement in the quality of media content. However, I underline that the authenticity of content would always remain at the core. Whatever be the technological process, we can talk about the right to free flow of information. We also need to talk about the need for dissemination of correct information. Dear delegates, Indian media and entertainment industry is one of the fastest growing media industries in the world and is projected to reach about $100 billion in 2030. This industry is currently valued at $28 billion. India has the talent and creative skills required for the growth of the industry. Indian cinema is our country's soft power, which rules the hearts of millions across the world. Indian cinema has created an identity for us in the world. We are truly proud of the fact that the highest numbers of films in the world are made in India. We make more than 3,000 films every year. And I'm happy to share with you that India has been chosen as the first country of honor at the ongoing Cannes Film Festival. India's film got tremendous applause from film lovers in the festival. We invite foreign filmmakers to invest in India and invest in joint ventures. I recently at Cannes announced several incentives to promote film shooting in India. This is an apt platform to repeat that. These include cash reimbursement to the Indian co-producer of an international film and incentives in terms of bonus to foreign films shooting in India and employing 15% or more of manpower locally. The Indian government has also announced the world's largest film restoration project under the National Film Heritage Mission. As part of this drive, more than 2,200 movies across languages and genre will be restored to their former glory. It is the vision of our Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji to prioritize preservation and promotion of India's rich cultural heritage, and films constitute an important part of this heritage. Preservation connects the generations. The new generation should know, acknowledge, and imbibe the values that our forefathers cherished. Keeping with this spirit, the Government of India is celebrating 75 years of country's independence from British rule. Under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi, we are reliving our historic morals, tradition, values, cultural ethos. Our young generation is becoming more aware of the sacrifices that our freedom fighters made for independence. I truly believe that media, in all its forms, has immense ability to shape the right public perceptions and perspectives as an effective tool of empowerment. I would request the participants from different countries to come and present their ideas and thoughts at the summit and disseminate the same to everyone across the globe for everyone's benefit. I once again congratulate Asia Pacific Institute for Broadcasting Development for organizing the Asia Media Summit 2022, and I'm sure that the deliberations during the summit will be useful for the media industry, bringing in more insights, adoption of better technologies, and better coordination among media houses the world over. Thank you once again for giving me the opportunity and listening to me patiently. Thank you. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
So thank you very much, His Excellency Takur. It's very interesting to hear from India, both the common themes, like in Fiji, how mobile phones actually drive the revolution of content, how content is accessible, and also how content can become a industry, huge industry by itself, highlighting India's summit aspects and India's cinema aspects, and also, what are the challenges and with the media's use today as well. So again, with that, we'll move to another country. So we'll ask His Excellency Dr. Q Kanrith, Minister of Information of Kingdom of Cambodia, to talk with us. And His Excellency Kanrith is the Minister of Information, as I mentioned, of Kingdom of Cambodia since 2004, and he was elected to the National Assembly of Cambodia in 1981. In 1991, Prime Minister Hun Sen asked him to serve as an advisor on the Council of Ministers. And during the period of the United Nations Transitional Authority in Cambodia, he became an official spokesman for the state of Cambodia. Following UNTAC, he was elected to the Constituent Council in May 1993. He was once again elected to the National Assembly in 1998. He regained the title of Minister of Information in 2004 to the present day. In 2020, he got the honorary doctoral degree of liberal arts from Rajamangala University of Technology, Phra Nakhon. He is also translator in Khmer language version of the James Clavell novel Shogun, which he has had it printed with his own money, and Laurie's speech book, Far Beyond the Horizons. So, Your Excellency, how is media changing in Cambodia, and what government is doing to help media and the public to adjust to the change? We're eager to hear that from you. Thank you very much, Your Excellency.
Thank you. His Excellency Ayah Sayed Qayyum, Minister of Communication, Republic of Fiji, Mr. Maya Agarwal, President AIBD, Sir Philomena Gana Prakasan, AIBD Director, our esteemed first host from Pacific region, the Republic of Fiji, esteemed guests, delegates, and fellow media practitioners joining us from across the globe. Good morning and good afternoon. Please allow me to begin with my special note of appreciation to AIBD Secretariat and the Republic of Fiji for hosting or organizing the virtual 17th Asia Media Summit. The Asia Media Summit is a bookmark event for all broadcasters in our region. It's a highly anticipated summit that offers broadcasters a marvelous platform to discuss relevant issues that require special highlights. The topic for this session, strengthening media in a changing world, could not have been more apt, considering how the media is evolving and progressing at a rapid pace. Given that this transformation is also driven by the change in media consumer behavior, where new technology are allowing consumers to produce and curate their own content. This is also company media provider to seek methods on how to retain the audience. Indeed, all cases are relative to the country and individual organization. There are no one-size-fits-all situation. We must work together to remain in this landscape. It's up to all media practitioners to find out ways on how each and every one of us can survive. And not only survive, we need to thrive. There is also a dire need to highlight the critical role played by the broadcaster media. All across the globe, particularly in the more developed nations, we are seeing a massive shift of audience from traditional to online media. This is also true for underdeveloped nations. However, we cannot forget the part of the population that is dependent on the traditional media. In Cambodia, we have 220 radio stations in the city and provinces, 19 analog television channels, and 8 digital TV, 447 newspapers, 706 homepage, 81 online TV, 7 OTT systems, 210 cable TV, and 2 satellite stations. As you can see, many Cambodian families are still dependent on traditional media for not only their news, but also for education, awareness, and entertainment. However, many young Cambodians are using the internet as their primary source of information. Now, the impact created by the COVID-19 pandemic in its initial stage minimized the role of digital media for a short time. The audience were tuned into more traditional channels to gather latest information from official sources. This, however, also creates some danger for the media themselves, and they were challenged on several fronts, such as the mass panic and overflow of misinformation, contradicting and confusing the public perception and creating global infodemic. Now that the COVID-19 pandemic is subsiding, we are taking lessons from this difficult time, and so Cambodia, we provide favorable conditions for all media operating in Cambodia via an amended media law, which are drafting by the Ministry of Information. Media development efforts must be the responsibility of all. While capacity development requires a country-led approach, it must be driven by the public who are willing and informed or charged the change. Therefore, media information and literacy can be an important component of creating an informed public. For instance, as an effort to further enhance the public literacy on misinformation and fake news, the Ministry of Information of Cambodia had conducted seminars and workshops, as well as media talk, to promote their critical skills on fake news from media people and the public. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Information of Cambodia also established an anti-fake news committee. The primary task of the committee are to reduce the dissemination of fake news by verifying the source and providing technical measures. A Telegram group with 6,200 people from government office, journalists, NGO, youth, and public sector were created to serve as a fact-checking center. And going back to lessons learned during the COVID-19 pandemic, we can conclude that to avoid public panic and frustration, media outlets must collaborate, innovate, and stand with each other to develop and progress collectively. Cambodia proudly announced that under the brilliant leadership of Samdech Techo Hun Sen, Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Cambodia, Cambodia has successfully contained the widespread of COVID-19. Almost all Cambodian people from 3 years old, among 6 million, received the third dose of COVID-19 vaccine. May I wish all people in our region, as well as the people in the globe, are healthy and stay safe from COVID-19. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Kanruth, and really thank you for outlining us the rich experience of Cambodia and also showing how traditional media and new media is blending to deliver the content to your people, and also highlighting some of the risks that you're facing, especially on fake news, but also how to make this information more accessible to everyone. So really appreciate your insights on that. So with that, we're moving to another country. So we're moving to Lao PDR. So we have His Excellency Onthong Khaupan, Deputy Minister of Information, Culture and Tourism. And His Excellency was appointed Deputy Minister of Information, Culture and Tourism of Lao People's Democratic Republic since 2016. And prior to that, Honorable Wonthang served as the ministry's Director General of Tourism Management Department and Lao National Tourism Administration for 2005 to 2016. With his vast experience as the Director of Tourism Site Management Division, Ministry of Commerce and Tourism, and representative on tourism sector at Lao Embassy to Thailand from 1996 to 2005. We'd like to hear from you, Your Excellency, what Lao government is doing to strengthen media in the changing world and what challenges and opportunities this creates. And really apologize for mispronouncing your name as well, and someone who also experiences that quite a bit, I really know that's not very appropriate, but I'll promise to learn to do that better. So please, Your Excellency, your intervention.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Excellency Ministers, Head of Delegation of 17 Asia Media Summit, ladies and gentlemen, at the outset, I would like to commend the Asia Pacific Institute for Broadcasting Development for the excellent arrangement made for this mindful 17 V1 Asia Media Summit 2022, convened today under the theme Future Forwards, Reimagining Media. Excellencies, as we are all aware that Vision X in our world today case impact to all aspects of society, including politics, economics, and social cultural development of all countries. In Lao PDR, to strengthen media to changing world, the Lao government has particularly the Ministry of Information, Culture and Tourism has informed on state and private sector media outlet to transform their traditional method of providing news via various platforms and reach on target audience, both in urban and rural areas. This will ensure that every citizen has fundamental right to get access to information, especially in the midst of rapid growth of information technology. On the other hand, we also have to fix a lot of problems emerging from fake news, misinformation, and disinformation, which creates misunderstanding and order of society, fixing development and social security. Consequently, it is now very important to be more than question of conscious with regard to consumption and information. This above say matter, it is not only effect on a political, economic, and social cultural development of Lao PDR, but also global challenge. As for the Lao PR, we have announced the Laos law on anti-cyber crimes and media law, and the Prime Minister decree on the management of information security on the internet, as well as establishment of Lao Computer Emergency Team to address these issues. Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, therefore, I would like to reiterate that we, Information and Media Minister, should stay committed to enhancing cooperation so that we can maintain peace and security, as well as establishment concrete cooperation and greater reaction against all forms of cyber and information threat and terrorism that may rise in the region. To conclude, I firmly believe that through constructive and social discussion during this significant meeting, any future possible direction and cooperation framework, including expanding cooperation with new media department and actively carrying out training for professional life, shall be progressively implemented. This is to narrow the gap among nations on our region to the area of media development. Lastly, may I wish the 17th Virtual Asia Media Summit to be crowned with great success, and may wish our esteemed minister and all distinguished delegates to good health, happiness, and success in your noble task. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency Thong Khao Pan. And really thank you for these great insights, and especially also outlining this importance of collaboration, both in the region and with different stakeholders and solving those new issues. So with that, I would like to move to our last ministerial participant. So we'll hear now from a video recorded by His Excellency Anucha Nakasai, Minister attached to the Prime Minister's Office, Kingdom of Thailand. And His Excellency Anucha Nakasai served the Royal Thai government as a minister since 2020, and his responsibilities include the government's media and public relations tasks. Before assuming this position, he was elected as a member of parliament 3 times and earned the position of a secretary in several ministries, such as transport and industry. And this current year, 2002, His Excellency Anucha is the chairman of the National Subcommittee on Public Relations for APEC economic meetings, in charge of Thailand's communications during its year as a host of APEC. And indeed, in this context of Thailand being APEC 2022 host, we'll also see a short video after His Excellency's intervention outlining Thailand's priorities and perspectives as a host of APEC in 2022. So please, if we could play both videos, please.
เรียนท่านผู้บริหารสถาบันพัฒนากิจการวิทยุโทรทัศน์แห่งเอเชียแปซิฟิกสมาชิก AIBD และผู้เข้าร่วมการประชุมเอเชียมีเดียซัมมิตครั้งที่ 17 ทุกท่านกับผมนายอนุชา นาคาใสรัฐมนตรีประจำสำนักนายกรัฐมนตรีในฐานะรัฐมนตรีที่กำกับดูแลงานด้านสื่อและประชาสัมพันธ์ของรัฐบาลไทยรู้สึกเป็นเกียรติอย่างยิ่งที่ได้มีโอกาสเข้าร่วมการประชุมเอเชียมีเดียซัมมิตครั้งที่ 17 ของสถาบันพัฒนากิจการวิทยุโทรทัศน์แห่งเอเชียแปซิฟิกหรือ AIBD ซึ่งในปีนี้จัดขึ้นผ่านระบบการประชุมทางไกลเป็นครั้งแรกแสดงให้เห็นถึงความพร้อมในการรับมือกับการเปลี่ยนแปลงของสถานการณ์โลกของ AIBD ที่ยังคงรักษาคุณภาพและมาตรฐานในการทำงานไว้ได้เป็นอย่างดีเช่นเดียวกันกับกรมประชาสัมพันธ์ในฐานะสื่อของรัฐที่ต้องปรับวิถีการทำงานให้เข้มแข็งและสอดคล้องตามสถานการณ์ของสื่อโลกประเทศไทยได้กำหนดแผนปฏิบัติการประชาสัมพันธ์แห่งชาติประจำปี 2565 ซึ่ง กำหนดทิศทางในการทำงานของสื่อรัฐซึ่งถือเป็นเสาหลักสำคัญของการสื่อสารจากภาคนโยบายให้สอดคล้องกับสถานการณ์ปัจจุบันโดยได้กำหนดแผนปฏิบัติการด้านการพัฒนาคลังข้อมูลข่าวสารอัจฉริยะและการยกระดับบุคลากรในยุคดิจิทัลอีกทั้งยังได้กำหนดเรื่องสื่อสารสำคัญที่มุ่งเน้นการส่งเสริมความเข้าใจแก่ประชาชนในเรื่องวิถีชีวิตแบบ New Normal ในการใช้ชีวิตกับโควิด -19 ในระยะยาวและหัวใจสำคัญหนึ่งของการสัมพันธ์ที่ยึดถือเสมอมาคือการส่งเสริมการเข้าถึงข้อมูลข่าวสารของทุกกลุ่มภายใต้การบริหารจัดการข้อมูลข่าวสารและการสื่อสารที่มีประสิทธิภาพเพื่อให้ตอบสนองความต้องการในการรับรู้ข้อมูลของกลุ่มเป้าหมายที่มีหลายระดับและในปี 2565 นี้ประเทศไทยมีวาระสำคัญของงานด้านสื่อและประชาสัมพันธ์ถือเป็นวาระแห่งชาติคือวาระการเป็นเจ้าภาพการประชุมผู้นำเขตเศรษฐกิจเอเปก 2022 ท่านนายกรัฐมนตรีได้ให้ความสำคัญกับการสื่อสารสร้างการรับรู้ให้ประชาชนทุกกลุ่มทุกระดับทั้งในและต่างประเทศให้ตระหนักเข้าใจใช้ประโยชน์และมีส่วนร่วมกับเอเปกภายใต้แนวคิดหลักของการเป็นเจ้าภาพที่ไทยขับเคลื่อนคือ Open Connect Balance ประเทศไทยในฐานะเขตเศรษฐกิจเจ้าภาพจะเสริมสร้างความสมดุลในทุกมิติตั้งแต่โอกาสและการพัฒนาการค้าการเกษตรสาธารณสุข MSME การเชื่อมโยงการเดินทางการท่องเที่ยวที่ครอบคลุมทุกภาคส่วนไม่ทิ้งใครไว้ข้างหลังและแนวคิด BCG ที่คำนึงถึงสิ่งแวดล้อมไปพร้อมๆกันส่งเสริมความสมดุลระหว่างการพัฒนาเศรษฐกิจกับความยั่งยืนของสิ่งแวดล้อมภายใต้หลักการ BCG หรือ Biosecura Green ประเทศไทยในฐานะเจ้าภาพเอเปก 2022 มีความตั้งใจที่จะส่งเสริมการฟื้นฟูภูมิภาคเอเชียแปซิฟิกหลังยุคโควิด -19 ให้กลับมาฟื้นคืนดีกว่าเดิมในทุกๆด้านในขณะเดียวกันประเทศไทยได้เตรียมพร้อมที่จะเป็นเจ้าภาพต้อนรับเพื่อนสื่อมวลชนจากทั่วโลกที่จะเดินทางมาเยือนประเทศไทยเพื่อรายงานข่าวการประชุมผู้นำเขตเศรษฐกิจเอเปกผมหวังเป็นอย่างยิ่งว่าจะได้มีโอกาสต้อนรับและร่วมงานกับเพื่อนสื่อมวลชนทุกท่านในการประชุมผู้นำเขตเศรษฐกิจเอเปกในเดือนพฤศจิกายนนี้ณกรุงเทพมหานครผมขอบคุณ AIBD ที่ได้เชิญให้ผมเข้าร่วมและแลกเปลี่ยนประสบการณ์ด้านการสื่อสารและประชาสัมพันธ์ในการประชุม Asia Media Summit ครั้งที่ 17 ในวันนี้ผมรู้สึกยินดีที่ได้เห็นความมุ่งมั่นตั้งใจของพันธมิตรด้านการสื่อสารและประชาสัมพันธ์จากทั้งภาคนโยบายและอุตสาหกรรมในภูมิภาคเอเชียแปซิฟิกในการพัฒนาต่อยอดความร่วมมือให้แน่นแฟ้นยิ่งขึ้นพบกันที่ประเทศไทยครับขอบคุณครับ
สวัสดีค่ะ As we move on and return to normalcy, we look forward to welcoming you to Thailand. To New Zealand 2021 APEC host, you have joined us together to overcome unprecedented challenges. ขอบคุณค่ะ The pandemic has revealed imbalances in the way we live, do business, and treat our planet. We must do better for a better future. Together, we can increase regional economic integration and shape the world's future to build a more open, connected, and balanced world for future generations. We are an inclusive economy open to trade and investment, open for business, open to new ideas. always evolving and ready for what's next. As one, we open. We are advancing digital economy, creating new platforms for growth, unlocking limitless potential. We are building an economy of trust and bringing people together across the Asia-Pacific region and beyond. As one, we connect. We are striving for balanced prosperity for everyone and businesses of all sizes, working to live in harmony with nature and optimize resources. Thailand is focusing on synergizing bio, circular, and green economy, shifting to renewable energy and innovations for sustainable food systems, cutting emissions and efficiently managing our waste. As one, we balance. On the road ahead, many challenges await. We must do it together to build a balanced and sustainable ecosystem for future generations that leaves no one behind. APEC has proven resilient and overcome enormous challenges. We have a Thai saying which captures the spirit of our cooperation. น้ำหนึ่งใจเดียวกัน Across the ocean, united as one. As one, we can create a brighter future.
APEC 2022 Thailand.
See you soon.
So great to hear these messages from Thailand and seeing that different forums in the region that are working on media development and these new media issues. We now have a little bit of time for the questions. And I think one thread that really we can see coming in the use of the new technologies, and especially as social media becoming much more pervasive, is fake news. So I would like to ask maybe to start again with His Excellency Said Hayum from Fiji. Your Excellency, how do you deal in Fiji with this issue of fake news and ensuring that citizens have access to reliable and trusted information? If you can comment on that, thank you very much.
Sure. It's actually a very interesting situation, in particular when we have elections this year. So, sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. At least I can hear very well.
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting question, in particular when you have elections this year. So obviously there's a lot of, political ramifications and of course political inclinations to produce a lot of fake information regarding various aspects. I think one of the ministers from India spoke about how during the COVID, in India, they had a lot of misinformation, etc. That is something, of course, I wouldn't put my hand on my heart and say we're dealing with it fantastically, because it is very difficult, because you have to weigh, people's ability to express themselves. We're not going to ban Facebook, and that's where you see a lot of misinformation coming about. And there is, of course, a tendency for people, whatever they see on social media, they tend to believe it, as opposed to sort of, in a critical manner, questioning the information that's available. Our first, concern, of course, were for the vulnerable people. That's why the Online Safety Commission was set up. It specifically mentions children and women in particular. We've had people, in fact, there was recently a case which is not very well known by the public here, but there was a couple and they had a relationship, and then they moved along in their lives, and one of them sort of got married and had children. The other one, who also had moved on in his life, had an old PC in which he kept their intimate photographs, consensual intimate photographs. And then what the person who fixed up or was fixing up his PC extracted those photos and actually demanded money from this lady who had moved on in her life. So, we have that sort of extreme. So Online Safety Commission tries to deal with that. And then, of course, on the other hand, it's just basic information that's misinformation about whether it's to do with what's happening personally about people, whether it's a meeting, whether it's about the economy, whether it's about death, whether it's the rate of infection, etc. There are certain laws. We've seen a couple of cases where people have, for example, taken civil action in terms of sort of defamation or in terms of some misinformation. But it is not an easy thing to deal with. I have to say that because there is a very fine line, because you can put in place laws. I know some countries specifically, even in Europe, have put in place fairly stringent requirements in terms of what information you can put. I understand Germany, for example, has particular offenses if you put in misinformation about the economy. So there are those kind of provisions that's there. And I think that will become far more sort of, acute going into a very unstable period, globally speaking, of course. So we are dealing with various mechanisms, but we don't have sort of specific laws regarding social media. We have, for example, a Media Industry Development Act that provides recourse. You can complain about mainstream media organizations. There has not been, people have not sort of used that mechanism much at all. And in fact, the Media Industry Development Board is in the process of being reappointed. So I think the way to sort of deal with it is to try and spread the correct information. So, we have, for example, our Ministry of Information or Ministry of Communications, I should say, is now going and getting the blue ticks for authentic Facebook accounts for government ministries, etc. So people know it's an authentic source. And that's what we're trying to do, and trying to spread a lot of information about it. It does make it a bit difficult. In Fiji's case, we've got two mainstream media organizations, one on radio, one is print. They have particular, very extreme political proclivities. But, you have to constantly deal with it, and we hope that the correct information actually seeps down to ordinary citizens.
Thank you very, very much, Your Excellency. And indeed, highlighting this very vast array of issues is about fake information. It's also about not fake information that we don't want legitimately to be out there, and protection of privacy as well. And as you say, probably the solutions are still being evolved and discussed around the world. Partly of that probably, as you mentioned, the citizens knowing themselves how to behave. Part of that, trying to have some sort of rules. Part of that, bringing back the traditional media aspects. So we had this explosion, and we really were happy of having this, multiplicity of creators information. But now we try to again distinguish what are the trusted sources that as we used to have national broadcasters and others. We knew them as a trusted sources. So we try to recreate that world in a social, let's say, media world. It's not easy, but great to hear that your government is really making attempts to, let's say, to insert some sort of pragmatism and rationality with some sort of consumer protection in this world, and then trying to find the balance and right solutions. So thank you again. And I would like to ask the similar question to His Excellency Thung Haopan, so the Minister, Deputy Minister of Laos, of Lao PDR. So Your Excellency, maybe you can comment how your government is dealing with the fake news and similar issues. If we still have His Excellency. Okay, I think no, I think we may not have Mr. Haopan already here. So thanks a lot. So with that, so really have a great insights from the excellencies here today. Learned a lot. Learned a lot again. How are the challenges from from especially pandemic, and then this disinformation and then some people were saying that pandemic also came with a pandemic of misinformation. So also some of the new issues that we're dealing with. So also how we both expanding the access to media learned, and then especially the role of tools like mobile phones and bringing the contacts closer to people, and other infrastructure ways, creative ways the governments are using, how to build the content in a viable additional industry, bringing the value to the country, but also how to fight risks. And we discussed, especially in the last bit, about misinformation, about cyber risks and others. So we see there's a vast array of issues, and clearly they will be explored in other parts of this great summit as well. So thanks a lot again, everyone. And with that, we would like to have another piece of wonderful cultural experience from the islands of Fiji, and enjoy and feel ourselves at least virtual this time in the Pacific. So please play the video now.
Slick, hop dip, slick, hop dip, 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 hop dip, again, slick, hop dip, 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 slick, you want to slick, hop dip, pull up on the mic, see you
Thank you very, very much. And we still, I was just told, and that we also have one more message coming. So, and this message will be from the Mr. Matthew Perrault, who is the Director for Culture, Education, Research and Network Coordination in the French Ministry for Europe and Foreign Affairs. So we also see some messages from far away from the Asia. So please, we would like to see the Mr. Matthew Perrault's also video message to all of us. Thank you.
Your Excellencies, Prime Minister of the Republic of Fiji, Ministers, President of the AIBD General Conference, Director of the AIBD, ladies and gentlemen. I am very pleased and honored to participate in this opening ceremony of the Asia Media Summit. As you know, the Asia Pacific Institute for Broadcasting Development has been supported by France since its creation in 1977. My country is the only founding European member state. France has been a member of the advisory board since 2021. Its constant involvement in the Institute overall shows the importance it attaches to the media as vehicles of stability and development. Free, pluralist, and quality media outlets are powerful drivers of progress. They contribute to social cohesion and provide spaces for debate. On the contrary, we have seen the danger of media outlets which are under the power of certain states. In this case, it becomes a weapon against democracy in a global news war. These issues are at the very heart of France and the European Union's engagement in the Indo-Pacific region. We defend a multidimensional and non-confrontational approach for the Indo-Pacific. This is based on respect for sovereignty of each state, multilateralism, and refusal of any form of hegemony. France is a fully fledged Indo-Pacific nation in terms of its presence, as nearly 1.6 million of my citizens live in French overseas territories, but especially in terms of its ability to meet our partners' expectation for initiating new cooperation. Through CFI, the French Media Development Agency, France has implemented the Mekong Info Durable Project to promote journalism that contributes to sustainable development. CFI has also contributed to the creation of the Myanmar Journalism Institute, as well as the launch of the online media VTV24 in Vietnam. By helping to improve the professional skills of people working in the media, the Asia Pacific Institute for Broadcasting Development has helped to consolidate a qualitative space for media, a space in which fake news and misinformation have no place. I would like to commend the Institute's vitality. I hope your discussion and work will be productive and will help build a more open and creative civil society. Thank you very much.
Great. So thank you very much for that and for this message from France and seeing again the reach of Asia Pacific Institute of Broadcasting Development and this great collaboration, across the world. So with that, my role here in this summit is over. So it was really a pleasure to moderate this session, to hear great views and insights from their excellencies. And my pleasure is now to pass this virtual mic back to Malia from Fiji to continue with the session. Thank you very much.